Hi guys, as you're all aware, on June the 12th, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un had a summit in Singapore on the island of Death from Behind and agreed a process to go forward in terms of denuclearization. At least this is what we were told from the American side. However, satellite imagery suggests rapid upgrades at North Korea's nuclear site in Yongbyon and uranium enrichment. So they're clearly not denuclearizing, they're going in the opposite direction. And obviously this is after they went to Beijing, and this was after Donald Trump imposed or said he was going to impose $50 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese goods coming into America. China said they'd respond, and then Donald Trump said it would go up to 100 billion or 200 billion, is even a number I've heard out there in the report. So it's pretty clear to me that China is using, or may perhaps be using, North Korea as leverage, as I said before. So North Korea appears to be enriching uranium at its nuclear research site, where improvements have progressed at a rapid pace in recent months, a monitoring group said in a report on Wednesday, but the level of current operations at the facility remains unclear. Analysis of satellite images by the Group 38 North, which closely follows North Korea affairs, offered a snapshot of the Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center on June 21st, 9 days after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signed a declaration to denuclearize after the Singapore summit with US President Donald Trump. So it's clear that we need to still keep our eyes on the Korean Peninsula. Obviously, we was doing that anyway, but with the signs that they were going towards peace and denuclearization, the attention had been shifted off of them a little bit and moved to the Middle East and to volcanoes and all sorts of things. But it's pretty clear that we can't really take our eyes off of any of these things, because as one calms down and one flares up, we've got the Middle East flaring up at the moment and the potential for North Korea to reignite itself at the same time. Obviously, we were told we could sleep well. That's clearly not true. At the time when it was said, I did say, don't listen to that because it doesn't make any sense. And here we have the evidence to back that up. And just yesterday, I was talking about Prince William going to Israel and, potentially being a peacemaker, or having this sort of peace deal, the potential to make a peace deal. Now today we get the reports that, well, it's clear in the headline, Prince William, the peacemaker. In the never-ending turmoil of the Middle East and the intractable deadlock between the Israelis and Palestinians, could a seemingly impossible breakthrough be achieved by Prince William, or Prince Will.I.am? The Duke of Cambridge was cast in the unfamiliar role of Middle East peacemaker yesterday when Israel's president asked him to take a message of hope to the Palestinian premier. And obviously, I already brought that report to you guys yesterday. The real reason I'm just bringing this report is because of the clear headline that they've got there, Prince William the Peacemaker. Obviously, this is not something that's going to be created overnight, but the potential for this guy to do this in the world at the time that we're living in is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. For those of you who think Donald Trump will be the peacemaker or Obama will be the peacemaker, since the embassy was moved to Jerusalem, the Palestinians have said that America cannot be the negotiator. They can't be the person in the middle. So I'm guessing that means any person from America, which means that it has to come from somewhere else. And Prince William, part of the royal family, respected in both Israel and Palestine, is most likely the person who's going to achieve that. Colossus waking up. I just find the name interesting, Colossus. It's another volcano. It's again in the Galapagos Islands. So we had La Cumbre erupt over there, and now we've got at least 250 people who've been evacuated from the vicinity of the largest volcano in the Galapagos Islands, Sierra Negra, after a series of earthquakes awakened the Colossus, according to the Ecuadorian authorities. The Colossus is awakening. Now, that sentence there, it screams out a whole bunch of subliminal messages to me. We've been in an extremely volatile time, of extremely high watch time, and as the time ticks down, the watch is just increasing ever more, as the potential for these things becomes even more likely. But the fact that we've got so many volcanoes, I mean, 2 in the Galapagos Islands, 1 in Mexico, 1 in Hawaii, or possibly 2 in Hawaii with Mauna Loa there, showing signs of unrest. That alert level has been reduced, but still keep your eyes on it. New Zealand, Japan, can't even think of all the other places. Indonesia, it's crazy. It's all, and the thing is, you can look and say, oh, volcanoes erupt all the time, but they don't all erupt in the same year. That has been the key thing that's brought my attention to all these volcanoes. They're all erupting in the same year. Usually you'd have maybe 5 or 6 major ones erupt in one year, and then, you know, next year you probably get some others. But so far, there's probably been about 15. If my count is about right, it's probably wrong. There's probably more than that, ones I haven't heard of. But yeah, really important to keep your eyes on these things, because it appears that they are going to be a significant part of the future events. And the final thing, speaking about asteroids just the other day, now I get a report that NASA has published dodgy asteroid data. So a former Microsoft executive, entrepreneur and physics PhD, Nathan Morvold, is making some big claims. A lot of the data NASA has on distant asteroids is wrong, and those errors are standing in the way of serious asteroid science. Up until now, the official NASA line has been to stick with its original data, but the newly published study could force a rethink and ultimately change our perspective on what's happening out in the solar system. Asteroids are very important. They tell us a lot about the origin of the solar system. The work of hundreds of scientists has been based on this near-wise data, but part of the problem is a lack of consistency. Readings from near-wise have been mixed with older data, and while that older data might be more accurate, it destabilizes the model as a whole. Other errors and bad modeling practices are mentioned by Morvold among more serious allegations that NASA scientists may have deliberately tried to cover their tracks and fudge the results they were getting. The bottom line is that near-wise data a lot of researchers now rely on has a much bigger margin of error than previously thought. So he believes that we can't really trust it, particularly when it comes to how big these space rocks actually are. So I'm not going to read the whole report, but you guys can go online and have a look for it yourselves. But it's pretty clear what the report is saying. The data that we're getting from NASA is fudged, dodgy, not accurate. And that's pretty much something that we've assumed for many years. But to have another prominent scientist, a Microsoft executive, entrepreneur and physics PhD come out and publish a report which is getting a lot of attention from the other scientists in the scientific world, it makes it it lends a little bit more weight to it. So it's clear that we can't trust what NASA says. We need to use our own intelligence. Obviously, if NASA is the one who's collecting all the data and feeding that into all the models and different systems that other scientists use, it's pretty clear that everyone's been misled by this one organization. So I don't know what to say to that, apart from be watchful, because we've had a few asteroids enter our atmosphere and explode without any notice, particularly over Russia. There's been 2 in the last 2 years, so, clearly, if that is a precursor for something else that's coming, remember I've talked about the gravitational field that can push asteroids and bits of debris ahead of the main body. It's possible that that's what we're seeing now. Slowly, then it may start to build up and build up even more until, we're looking up and seeing something that shouldn't be there. So you guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.